It's not counting yet. Ah, my life. Hi, everybody. Very good afternoon to you from Germany, and happy Workers' Day today, the 1st of May. A very interesting day that we chose also to talk about volunteering. Today, I have with me, as always, my co host on this podcast, Stephen Bwete. And we also have one of our colleagues here who's working with us at Opportunity Pulse, in the person of Ini. Today, we are going to be talking about the essence of volunteering in the professional workspace, how you can move forward with your professional career by volunteering. Why do people do that? What's the essence? And yeah, what are the experiences from the space? Are we expecting one or two other guest speakers to join us? But until they do, we are going to continue. So before I proceed, I'll let my co-host Stephen, as always, um, yeah, touch on the topic today, and then we will get into it right away. Stephen.
Thank you so much, Mike, and a happy Workers' Day for you, to you all that are viewing and listening later on or right now. Thank you so much for joining us once again on this yet another wonderful episode. What a best day, Mike, to host a day like this or a
Yeah.
podcast like this on a day of workers, where we are celebrating contribution to society. Yeah, so my name is Stephen Bwete, founder of Chiwoko Consult and co-founder of Opportunity Pulse, who's the main organizer of this podcast. As Mike has already alluded to this topic, we are talking about volunteerism as a strategy for breaking barriers to career growth and progress, not only for those in the diaspora, but also those in Nigeria or in Uganda or in Kenya or in Cameroon or elsewhere. And I'm very happy today, Mike, to be joined by one of our best volunteers in the Opportunity Pulse network, who is Ini. As Joseph is still struggling with the internet connection, hopefully he'll be joining us later on. But to me, Mike, this topic is very personal. I think as we are positioning this topic, we need to clarify one key aspect or key component of this topic.
Yeah.
We're not talking about volunteerism as a job downgrade or as a way of downplaying paid jobs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're talking about volunteerism from the perspective of visibility
Yeah.
and building experience, building relationship and social capital, and developing networks that are very important for one's personal career growth. So I'm sure this is something that we're going to talk more about, but I wanted to bring this clear straight on that, yes, we know there is paid employment, there is professional paid employment, but today we want to spotlight volunteerism as a strategy, not as a weakness, not as a job downplaying employment or full-time employment. So I'm so happy that we're joined by Ini, and I would like to give her a chance straightforward to maybe introduce herself. And then later on, I would like to know how she's connected to this topic.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you, everyone. All right. So, volunteering it's one of the important tools, I would say, for every individual who is trying to break into maybe to get a clear career path. I say that because over time from my university days, I've been volunteering from the event management, the media department, and I see that it helps one to know a clearer path where he or she is to follow. So volunteering simply means contributing, willfully contributing to the community or anyone, one or two persons find himself. It's a really good thing that every new trainee or one who is trying to build this career should focus on taking up.
Thanks, Ini. Maybe Ini, you could tell us a bit about yourself so that people also get to know who you are, what you do, and also, yeah, what's your role with us at Opportunity Pulse, just so that people can relate with you a bit.
Okay, my name is Iniobong Friday. I'm the social media manager for Opportunity Pause and Volunteering, and I'm excited to be part of this podcast today.
Thank you very much, Mike. If I could hijack the microphone straight away, something that you have just said in your description on your preamble to this topic, you said something which is very important: willfully. Someone decides willfully to engage in a meaningful aspect or in a task. How would you describe that in your mother tongue? Because I really want us to break this down into the language that we actually understand. Volunteerism in our language. Which language do you speak and what's your predominant language? And how would you call volunteerism in your language?
You mean from Nigeria aspect?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not really good on that. I am not really good on that, so I will not know
Mike,
what is
Mike,
the actual word for it.
Mike, you
Yeah,
speak Igbo, right?
I do.
How how would you say volunteerism in Igbo?
Honestly, I'm not sure about the right word for that, but I
Mm.
do know there are ways to describe it.
Yes, please
Um,
help us to describe it.
so
For
the
anyone
description would be more like coming from a place of, say, support or help or to
listening.
assist. You know,
Mm,
I can't
Uh,
find the one-to-one word for it, but
mm,
I guess the point is, if we were going to describe this in our local language or within
mm,
the and where we come from, how
mm,
is volunteerism actually practiced? And how
mm,
do we get into that?
mm,
Um, because over time, it's something that actually happens kind of naturally. And this is really interesting that you mentioned this, Steven, because if you recall the former podcast we had or the previous episode, we talked
mm,
about the strength and resilience that Africans come with to Germany by default. And it
mm,
also goes back to some of these things which are culturally rooted, some things that we do culturally, but we don't know that, hey, there's also a nice way it's actually packaged, and now we're talking about volunteerism. A lot of
yeah,
stuff that we do back home,
yeah,
we don't get paid for it. We're helping other people, but then we gain a lot of experience and then we become, so talented in those things. We just do them naturally, you know.
mm,
I can't find the
mm,
words to describe it, but really the way you ask the question now brings to mind that these are
mm,
things which are already existing by default in the community, but not really packaged in such a way that you can use it to boost or shoot your career. I don't know if
mm.
I'm touching the point as
Yes, you are. Actually, you read into my notes, Mike. So where I was coming to this, we have so many words that we see, especially if we're using a foreign language. The
yes,
word volunteerism. If someone will say, "I am a volunteer. I volunteer with this company." To me, the first thing is to understand in the base language I understand most. What does that actually mean? Um,
hmm
in our culture, in my language, which is Luganda, volunteerism means obwanachewa, right?
one or
Uh,
two.
or bulungi bwansi. So
Okay.
the two translations literally mean obwanachewa means I give myself permission to take part into something, and I don't ask for anyone to permit me to involve myself. And
Okay.
while I was coming to this, you mentioned something in English, willfully. There's something that you do deliberately. And sometimes it's an initiative that you take without anyone forcing you to,
Yeah.
despite who you
hmm
are. Then, Obwanachewa, it's to say, it is, I do permit myself to take part. Then the Bulungi Bwansi comes then to the point that you've said, the community good, um, for the good of the community, right? And,
Yeah.
and, and that's the volunteer aspect. Like you said, we have been doing these things. culturally, we are participating in all this. So where this comes from, like in the country where I come from, Uganda, and from the central region, Obulungi would literally mean someone would drum and people would come and clean the well. People would come and prepare the roads, and they will clear the roads and will clear the bushes, or someone will come and they will seek help to help someone build his house, or it will be for safety, for security of the community, and that is for the good of the community. And now, the more we make it structured and human resource driven and very scientific, then it becomes so complicated. But the whole concept is about putting yourself on the line, seeking what's good for the community. And then all these benefits that we are going to talk about comes in as a personal benefit. And I think that's what we want to talk about today, using what we already know as a strategy to breaking into jobs, into promotions, into networks.
Yeah.
We're so happy that we're joined by Joseph, finally. Thank you so much for joining us, Joseph. What we are trying to do is to define volunteerism. And I would like to ask you, Joseph, to briefly introduce yourself. You have talked about this topic last time, that you would want to start straight away. When you think about volunteerism, you feel like you have a lot to talk about it. Probably after introducing yourself, you could tell us what connects you to this topic.
Okay, good day, good day. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mike? Okay, good day, Mike. Good day, Stephen. Good day, Ini. So for me, I think I take this topic very personal, because volunteerism itself, it's an environment that puts you in a real situation where things aren't structured. You have to communicate clearly, take initiative, work with diverse opportunities, and deliver. You deliver without perfect systems. With volunteerism, you're the boss of itself, not that you're working in a role where this is needed. So you put more effort on yourself to ensure that you give your best. So for me, I think the perfect skill itself, because volunteering, it teaches skills, it changes job, it makes you build skills faster than what you will do on the normal ground.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joseph. And Mike, looking at your background, looking at your trajectory, where you're coming from, what connects you to this topic?
Yeah. So, after studying here in Germany, and then funny thing is, honestly speaking, I didn't have any difficulty landing my first job. In fact, the difficulty I had was the thought that I would not land my first job very easily. So that already stressed me more than not getting the first job. I am someone that I take my time to really learn things, understand the space, and I really prepare well in advance. One of the preparations I did then was I read lots of book, and there's this favorite book of mine. I made a post about it some time ago. If I find the link, I will share it here. It says How to Influence Germans. It's a book by Chris Piak. Maybe you've come across it before. And so the book essentially was talking about understanding where you are, what the people need, and positioning yourself to be someone of value. So when I was ready to start looking for jobs in Germany, my first thought was about the first 6 months, I was going to work without being paid. That was my default thought. So each time I had interviews, I was more chilled because I knew I was bringing something. I wanted to bring something. Although I didn't have the opportunity to volunteer, but I had the mindset to work and not get paid so I can show the value that I come with. And I think that mindset that I had there just made the conversation process for me a lot easier because I was not like um, seeking, say, validation, but I was just seeking an opportunity to show what I'm able to do. And what that translated to in practice is I think the first job I got then, I did my homework and I really told the guys, hey, I am able to do this and that for you. I didn't get opportunity to say don't pay me because the conversation didn't go to that level. But I already had that in my mind. And now how I relate to that topic is over the years when I consult people, I say, hey, if you find an opportunity to work somewhere, yeah, take that opportunity because the key thing here is, especially in Germany, companies are thinking who is going to first take the risk on you. They don't say it out, but that's like the silent, I don't know, truth, so to speak. Who would take that first risk on you? And that's like which employer is going to take you without a job or without an experience in Germany. That's another key thing. And I think this applies to also other countries, to other locations abroad. Have you worked here before? Can you work here? Can you understand the culture of the people and so on and so forth? And what Ojira Self has also done over the years is give people this opportunity to have like hands-on experience, work within our environment, and sometimes they have the opportunity that we retain them. So definitely, I can relate with this at multiple levels. I think the most fundamental one for me was just having that mindset to first work to show what I am able to do, and that person who would take me first to take that risk to hire me first, even if I would volunteer, they will stand to benefit everything which I come with because I'm coming not to just work and earn, but to actually show that, hey, I come with a lot of value. And when you see this value, it becomes easier to make a decision, hire me or not hire me, obviously.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mike. I think what I take from your point is we don't have so many chances to show value, like to show what
Yeah.
we can, like to display what we can do best. And volunteerism bridges that gap. Where some barriers exist, the only way for you to break into that is, or to show your value is through volunteerism. Which brings me to the next point, and I'd like to start with Ini. One of the premises we had set discussing this is that volunteerism helps us to turn invisibility on the market, on the job market, to visibility. Ini, what do you say about that? How is this?
Your question is how do we turn
How
visibility into.
Yeah, how would volunteerism help one to be visible to a potential employer or to a potential promotion in a job environment, using probably your personal
Okay,
experience?
okay. Yes, okay. So I'll say for one to be visible, you must show what you have. So how do you show what you have? If you have an opportunity, like Mike has already said, if you have an opportunity to volunteer, you volunteer and don't just volunteer, but give in your best because people are watching you.
Mm,
People are watching you. They will see your value from what you give to them.
true.
They will see your value and be able to spot that this person is important in this organization. From there, that person will be, if there's an open opportunity for this person to be taken to the next stage, that is how one is being transformed to come into the light of visibility. So when you give it your best and people see it, they appreciate it, then they will take it to the next step.
Mm, absolutely. Joseph, you are in the profession of data, you're doing with analytics, but I also know that you're one person who is very engaged in Nigeria. Um, how does this volunteerism help you as a professional to be more visible to your potential, probably to promotion, but also to networks, to people that might value in your career progression? I hope Joseph can still follow us.
Yeah.
Joseph, are you there? Probably I'll go. While Joseph is setting, probably his network is not good. Mike, I would like to bring this back to you from the German market point of view. At the current stage you're talking about, according to recent statistics, there are 163 job, according to the federal employment agencies, they have reported 163 occupations which are still weak or they're not fully supplied with professionals. But on the other side, we hear so many people in our community that are still struggling to break into those. So imagine that gap. There's so much need out there, but yet there is a huge supply there which we can't receive. So how can volunteerism help these people that are looking for jobs to be more visible to those open jobs?
Yeah. So I think that was the genesis of Opportunity Pulse, right? This gap that we identified, that we saw the gap, and then we also know that a lot of people are qualified, but in some cases, maybe they might be missing one or more qualifications. But right now, talking about volunteerism, we're talking about the candidate meets all the requirements but doesn't have the opportunity to be hired for whatever reason, visibility, which we're talking about, or who's going to trust this unexperienced person in Germany, excuse me, or B, they don't have all the requirements or they are missing some requirements. Well, the key thing is this: what do you do with your 24 hours? Do you have something better doing? Right? If you don't have something better doing, then why not go out there? And if you recall the last time we spoke, I think we talked about how abundant the opportunities are. You cannot count the number of what is this thing called in English? MESA, the number of congresses or networking events that are about working, connecting with employers, uh, there are uncountable number of them, and most of them are free of charge. So how about just walking into these places and talking with the people, right? Um, and now on the part of also they just checking the data to see, you see the huge gap of unemployment. But on the other hand, there is also, shortage of staff in lots of industries, a lot of, in the different domains. And you always wonder, why are these people not being connected? Well, the employers, they are looking for ways to connect to these people. And for whatever reason, whatever requirements they've put there, it stops them from getting the candidate, even though the candidate are there. And the candidates are also there. But for whatever reason, they can't connect to the employers. And you see this gap, this bridge that somehow needs to be crossed. One thing I definitely know that people who are seeking opportunities should do, whether you have all the requirements or not, is go out there and network. Begin to connect and talk to the people that are there where you want to go to. And this is where the whole point to show what you know how to do comes in, right? I'm very glad Daniel is also here already. And I think that is also going to help us touch on what really motivated them to have the system that they have now, because this is essentially beyond giving people the opportunity. Stephen, I believe this is also helping to change the narrative, on both sides, the people who are hiring and the job agencies as well, that they get to understand that, hey, there's a huge gap and you're missing a lot. And maybe this would also revolutionize the way volunteerism works as well, to see that, hey, it's better regulated, people pay more attention to it, and that it's not just seen as free labor anymore, but something that is now done with a bit more dignity. And definitely the prospect of the volunteers becomes even more predictable. Not that at the end of the day you don't understand what's going to happen next to you, but that it becomes it evolves from where it currently is now to something more predictable, more structured, and more regulated.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mike. I guess from what I take, my summary of what you just mentioned is that for most diaspora or migrants, it's not just enough to have a very a competitive CV. Of course, everyone has a nice CV, but you need to be visible to those people that might not be able to be reached by your CV. Sometimes you write emails, but the CV never get to them, the people that make those final decisions. So I guess by putting yourself to the line, you're building trust, you're building reference, you're building a network. And that alone will open the doors for people to start now looking at your CV and say, oh, so you can also do this, this, and that. And then from there, that's when you get to the next level in your career. Yeah, thank you so much. You mentioned that Daniel is online, right?
That's right.
Okay, good that Daniel is here, because I wanted to connect this to the next part. There would be the point that we wanted to talk about, the volunteerism as a tool for social capital. Volunteerism helps us to build social capital in ways that normal work applications do not do. And the studies have been very consistent on that, that normally when you volunteer, you have access to people. You know which people are actually in that organization, which people make decisions, who is the HR of that company, who is the CEO of that company. And also those people now start recognizing you based on your own abilities rather than your documents that you submitted. Probably, Daniel, you can say more to that. How is this consistent, or does this relate to your work? Do you see this happening in real time?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, we can hear you, Daniel.
All right.
Maybe you could.
I couldn't really. Sorry, I'm coming late. Network is just really funny now in Nigeria. I don't know. Please, Mr. Steven, can you repeat like the question back?
Yes, of
It was
course.
kind of breaking.
So initially, you will help us, since you joined us a bit late into the podcast, to introduce yourself and what you do. But the question was built on the premise that volunteerism helps to build social capital. So I've been looking at different studies, how people get to be recognized, or people get promotions, or people get into jobs. And studies are very consistent that normally employers or human resource departments would give jobs to people they know, people that they trust, to people they have reference on, more than a person that they don't know, because of the risk of making the wrong decision. Because of your engagement in this topic, or on this very specific subject, I would like you to share more light on that. How true does this relate to what you're doing?
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Daniel Ayeni, still founder of Afriment. It's so good to be here. So sorry for joining late. Network has been very interesting. I'm not sure otherwise. So talking about me personally, I'm a big fan of referring someone that I know, because a lot of people are there in this world, especially running an internship platform. I can see a lot of things, and it gave me this confirmation to let you know that, oh, truly, volunteerism is the best way, because there are a lot of people that you might just judge that they are good for something, and at the long run they might not be good for the thing. I remembered somebody said he was looking for somebody that can do this, and according to CV, this girl was like, okay. But when I gave this girl to the person couldn't work with the girl for just within 2 weeks. The person had to just start the girl, and I was surprised. I was like, wow, this is one of the best. At least this person has good CV and everything. And it dawned on me that there are some things that comes from you working with somebody first. You getting the reference. There are some of my um, there are some places that I've worked that, because of the fact that I know this person well, if there's an opportunity there, I know quite well that I can't refer you to that place, because the challenges that are happening there, you don't have the capacity to withstand it. And there are some, and that's one thing volunteerism solve. It allows people to be able to know your strength, to know your weakness. It allows them to be able to put their words for you and say, take this person. In short, tell him there's this thing that this mantra I go with. Tell him you are from me is better than the best in the world. Just tell him you are from Daniel Ayeni is better, because the person knows that, okay, this person you are coming from already knows what it means. So definitely he or she is not going to refer you if he or she does not know what it. So that's just basically the word, especially now that we have AI and people can easily mumble up things. That fear is there. Like, I didn't really trust this guy. Are you really sure? Are you sure? Sometimes I see some people, they used to say, don't judge a book by cover. But sometimes I look at some people, I be like, are you sure this one can do this thing? I'm not sure. But anyway, Sha, who is going to refer? Okay, go and find one referral. The person who yeah, is good. Okay, let's give the person a try. So that's just basically it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel. So from what I get, volunteerism gives the face to that person that is looking and suitable for the job. And you, the person that is referring, you know what you're going for, what you're referring to. Thank you very much, Daniel. And also we'll be coming more to talk about Afriment and how you help people to get into future jobs or to get experience, as you'll be explaining more about that and the work with Ojirasoft and so on that you're doing in Nigeria. Thank you so much. Mike, I would like to briefly come to you on this point because you understand the German culture very well. The German culture rewards structure. And I think volunteerism plays a huge role in teaching the structure. So here I'm talking about things like the work culture, like things like planning, like punctuality, like being reliable, things like documentation, being accountable, which are also very key actually, even if you're in Nigeria or in Uganda or wherever you are. How do you or how have you experienced this in your life, Mike?
Yeah. The simple answer is if anything is worth doing, it's worth doing well, you know. And this is my mantra, this is my motto, this is what I go with. And everyone that I work with, if I decide to do something with you or for you, I go all the way in. You know, if I wouldn't go, I won't start anything. Now when it comes to Germany, one thing I've done also, and this is actually what makes my experience in Germany so much different from the experiences of other people, is because you don't wait for opportunities to come to me. I go get it. You know, I go, I seek it. I was telling you recently about how I started a new I started volunteering to work with a nonprofit organization that are helping people that are like in the terminal stage of their life. They're going to pass away soon, to guide them, help them pass away. Why am I doing this? It's not related to my career. It's not what I earned from, but I want to learn and understand other aspect of the German culture, deepen my knowledge of the language, build, as you mentioned, social capital, because people within that organization are coming from different walks of life. So sometimes when I sit and talk, people are like, "How do you know these things?" Yeah, I go out, I talk to people, I have a big network, you know, and I'm learning a lot. So coming now to Germany, this also lets you understand the people, the culture, because there you learn people from other walks of life, what they do, how they carry themselves, and what is even happening in a completely different space that you have no idea of. I think the things that we can learn, we have no idea. It's unimaginable as long as we give ourselves that opportunity. So I guess my point here is it actually goes beyond just you landing a job, right? Because after you've landed a job, it doesn't stop there. You know, there's more to life than landing a job. There's more to life than having just a successful career. Life still goes on. So I
Yes.
think for those people who are living in Germany and you are at whatever stage in your career or business, it doesn't stop there. There is still a lot that you can learn, especially if you want to live in Germany or wherever you are for the long term. Still look out for ways that you can connect, network, and volunteer in organizations, because that way you get to learn more and more and gain even deeper exposures in that in those communities. And maybe to touch on also Daniel's point, we've been working with Afrimet now for over 6 months. Fantastic job that the guys are doing, and I have this feeling like what is coming out of Nigeria from Africa. And funny thing is, the people on the platform are not just in Nigeria and Africa. Yesterday, there was one of the interns. When everybody was saying good morning, she was saying good evening. I was like, where is this one coming from? She said, Australia. Australia. So
Yes.
it tells you how now it really goes beyond connecting people all around the world, but it's bringing people from wherever they are hiding, you know, to come out, to come out, to come out. And there are a few organizations who are doing this thing, you know. And now coming back also to the German culture thing which you mentioned, the people who are also working with her, they're going to there's also that cross border of knowledge and exchange. I have no idea how things work in Australia, but if I have an opportunity to work with someone who's working from that space, this is another learning opportunity for me.
Mm. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mike. And I would like now to bring the same question, maybe from a different angle, to Ini first, and then Joseph will come in, and then Daniel will close this from the structure point of view. So unlike the situation like Mike is describing, where relationship matters, but also the opportunities are quite in huge supply. Now, from the context of Nigeria, or whether it's Uganda or Nigeria, we have a low supply of opportunities and a huge supply of labor. Let's say we have a huge population of young people that are looking for opportunities. And the challenge is that most employers are not willing to recruit because of the sometimes the low expectations of what they are going for, but also there is a scarcity mentality. We have very few or little resources, and we want to use them well with the right mindset, with the right talent. Probably, Ini, you can go first. What do you think would be the role of volunteership in helping those people, especially those who are not well connected? As we say in some countries, if you're not connected, if you don't have from a huge political family or a business, well-known cultural family, chances are very high that you will have to submit a lot of CVs. So how can volunteership help such people to break into careers or to get into promotions?
Okay, so as we're all discussing, I just noticed that your initial question you asked, what is another word for volunteering? So one thing I just remember is that internship, some internship are not paid, some internship are not paid. So I kind of want to say that volunteering is similar. And currently, where I work as part of the human capital department, um, one of the some persons that are being transferred from internship to a full-time staff, they started as this internship. Some of them are just being paid in stipend. So volunteering is important. It's for some organization they call it internship. They don't really call it this volunteering. That's one thing I see about this thing. Why in some organization it's called volunteering. It's just that in some organization they pay stipend. So um, most some organization again some organization they prefer to employ from these interns because they have watched, they have been observing them, observing their strengths, their behavior, attitude, the skill they bring in. So at the end of the day, there's something we do a performance assessment in Nigeria, standard organization in Nigeria. The structure is that you do a performance assessment whereby the line manager assess this intern and maybe this will qualify her if she really wants to go or become a full-time staff. So volunteering is not just about adding value, but it breaks open doors for you, like doors that you fight so many months to get. So, and again, for those people out there that are looking out to volunteer, volunteer does not just come to you. You have to find it, as Mike has already said. You have to go look for it yourself. We have the Google you can use to search online, through referrals, and you just keep being available. So in Nigeria, you just make yourself available and be of your best behavior.
I couldn't make it or say it better. Make yourself available to people that might have doubts about making recruiting decisions. I will come back to Daniel very shortly, but for you, Joseph, looking at your trajectory in your professional career, in your corporate career in Nigeria right now, do you think volunteerism could be one of the strategies that unemployed youth could use to break into those structured corporate world where entrance sometimes could be very competitive if you're not well known?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mike. I think let me relate to this as a person. One of my favorite quotes from Desmond Tutu, he says, "A person is a person through other persons." I remember then while it was discussing. I remember then while I was a kid. I know my mom will always take us to church. It's funny, but we were put in the media department. So as kids, we started learning PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel. So I saw that as volunteering. You see, as a kid, I was actually forced without my own will. Well, growing up now, I saw, they say what parents say while sitting, a kid doesn't even while standing. So then I learned the Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, all of them, Easy Worship, all the software. While I was in school, while my peers were finding it difficult to work with platforms, it was easier for me to ASAP do my assignment and just come pass it. So, and I think that was where my love for data came in to become a data analyst. And since I studied engineering, I found out data everywhere. So, back to your question, with volunteering, unlike if you want to relate it to Nigeria, I think, sorry to say, but it is the who knows who that gets the job, not who knows the job, or not really saying who knows the job, or a lot of times opportunities are not given to those who are beneath or who don't have the right connections. So it's a great conversation if employers or communities can seek organizations like Afrimet also who train people to see that, yeah, he can do this stuff, give him a try, he's going to make it. He can do this stuff, give it a try, he's going to make it. But I think the conventional Nigerian setting is they just put people on internship and they learn on the job. But if we can shift the mindset to, okay, we've had these guys volunteers for years and we give them their best shot, I think we'll make a very good and great organization.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Since you've created already the link to Afrimet, I would like to come back to Daniel. Daniel, if you could tell us a bit more about Afriment, what's the background? Why did you start this organization, and how are things going so far?
All right, thank you everyone for that. Well, Afrimet is an internship and mentorship platform that helps to bridge the gap between the knowledge and experience. So, what actually made me found Afrimet is the fact that a lot of people they were done with their internship, their bootcamp training. I remember quite all right that time. It was ALX because Africa was founded 2024. So these people that time ALS used to do something. They would tell them to go and volunteer, find somebody to volunteer for 2 weeks. Then I got some people. I got someone that messaged me. I said, "Hey, sir, I want to volunteer for you." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." Then when the person, imagine the person that said wants to volunteer for me, the person will not even message the following morning to say, "Good morning, sir. What are we doing today?" Like it was just like a whole flex. So I was like, what is all this thing that these people are doing? Then I remember that time I said, okay, let me try and do something. Initially, I was not planning on doing this whole thing. I'll just say, okay, let me just try and do something fun. So let me just mentor to people. Then from there, I realized like 20 people came and say, oh, mentor, okay. I started giving them tasks. And I realized that, okay, there's a whole lot of differences because what they taught these people versus what the real world needs is totally different. And they just have the knowledge. When you ask an average person, what can you do? I can manage inbox, I can schedule calendar. Then I look at myself that as I am, how many meetings do I have that I have to schedule my calendar for? How many inbox did I have? I do, unless I sign up for newsletter, that's when you can have my inbox to manage. When you say you help me to plan trip, I'm a remote worker. I don't like traveling, but I don't even travel self. I will use airline. I go get to the airport, carry Uber, go to where I'm going. So I look at it that okay, what business needs, what the reality of what companies need, especially startup companies, is not what these people have an idea of. Okay, so that way I was able to say, well, there's a very big problem. Then we started, by giving people stats because it was a new company and we can't just rush to start paying them up to companies because as at that time we had to like gather enough data, at least we did that for like approximately year, we were giving them tasks because we didn't want to just push them outside. But one thing we do is that if they go outside, if they actually, if they are good people, like good talent, when they go out, the recruiter of that company will ask them for reference. So they will come back to Afriment and be like, please, can I get a reference from you? Which we give for only the people that we know that they are as good as they claim. Then from there, that's when we migrated, start connecting people to real companies. That's how we got to meet Ojira Soft for the past 6 months. We've been working together, bringing talent to solve real problems, work in real companies, see what it feels like to actually be in an organization, see what it looks like to, work with a company that is in Germany. The concept you are using for a company in Nigeria is totally different from the concept you are going to use for a company in Germany. So that way we get to, mentor them. There are a lot of people, in short, as I'm talking to you right now, there's a lot of people that never, there was this whole idea of that, remote space is just flex because they see somebody just sitting down at home and be like, oh, honey generator, and they're like, oh, big boy,
Yeah, yeah,
you're enjoying it, enjoying it. So see, yeah, look at me now, I'm on Discord, I'm just wearing one amulet. So that kind of thing, people say, like, wow, like, come on, like, life is not hard. On a Monday morning, that might be the time that me, I'll just sit down and watch an American movie. So that kind of flexibility is what's actually interesting. Everybody's like, I want to come remote, I want to come remote, but the other thing is that people know what it looks like. They have the experience. The Afriment structure helps to connect people. So once you join, you get to work with different type of members of the team. As a virtual assistant, you get to work with data analysts, cyber security, software engineers, graphic designer, UI/UX designer. So you get to have a real experience of what it looks like working in a real company. Because trust me, from even this, there are many times some of them will start and some of them will start, fighting each other. Oh, no, you do this. I said, yeah, that is why you guys are here to experience this. It's better you fight here, you get people to correct you, than you go out there and go and fight and they sack you from your job because getting a job is very, very tough. So that's what Afriment is doing basically. Model them, give them the experience. If you claim you can work under pressure, don't worry. Afriment will give you that pressure. You will experience that pressure that even some of them they want to almost run away. But what we tell them is if you run away from Afriment now that you even pay just a commitment fee to join, what is the assurance that when you get to that company that you're going to and they are paying you, unless you've done testimony in church on Sunday and say, oh, Sipayemi, thank you, congratulations, I've gotten a job. Oh, I want to be like when I grow up. How are you going to tell your pastor that they've sacked you another 2 weeks? You go to church and pray. So, that's just the whole thing. And so far, so good. Afriment have been able to get people at least from over 35 countries of the world and over 4 continents of the world. And this really shows that people are actually in need of this opportunity. In short, I was interviewing many of them and I'm asking them what are their challenges. They said they don't feel confident enough. They feel they are not good enough. Some of them said I was talking to one person today, she got a job in Netherlands. She said, Mr. Daniel, please, I'm not confident enough. I'm scared that I will get there and fuck up. I said, don't worry, just go. If you have any problem, just rush down. So that's just the whole thing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. So from what you've described, I would consider Afrimet as an incubator, as a lab for people to gain confidence and experience in areas that they could never have imagined in their lives. So for anyone out there seeking experience opportunities, do a search on Afrimet and link up with Daniel for more information. I would like to give Mike a chance to tell us more about who is behind this opportunity pass and why is this topic important? Because the whole idea of opportunity pass is run on volunteerism. As Jimmy and Joseph are contributing to this, as many others are joining us. Mike, tell us more about opportunity powers.
Thank you very much, Steven. So talking about opportunities, access, visibility, also key points that bring us together here. Yeah, so Stephen and myself, we're based here in Germany, and we see the opportunities that are in Germany. We see Germany as a virgin land, whereas a lot of people see Germany that it's difficult and every stuff. But we see it as a virgin land, especially for Africans who are here. And our goal at Opportunity Pulse is very simple: reactivate, re engage Africans that are here. Um, like Daniel, you were mentioning, someone would think remote work is easy. You just go sit down and you just chill. Trust me, right now, I've been working completely remotely since 2021. I think I prefer on-site work, go to the office and work from there, and come back home and just have my peace. But what we've seen is the way as things keep changing, Germany keeps investing billions and billions of euros every year to bring skilled workers from abroad. You know, yes, there's obvious shortage of labor, there's no doubt about it. But we also know there is a lot of untapped potentials in Germany of Africans, of migrants who are here. And our goal is to reactivate these people, you know, help them understand the opportunities which exist for them in Germany, because it's a lot cheaper for the German government. If it would cost them 10,000 euros to bring someone from abroad to Germany to settle down, learn the culture, and get into the workforce, to cost them a fraction of that amount to re engage someone who is already here. And the people that are here, we're talking about people that are either fully qualified, but they simply don't know where to go to get the job, to get the necessary training. Or some, they are not fully qualified, they are missing some qualification which they can get. And some of these qualifications are even state funded, state supported. They don't even have to spend a dime. They just need to know the right office to go to get this missing qualification. And boom, you are in the job market. You are contributing, you are growing. And then I give an example. When I finished my studies, it was the agency for labor that took care of all my preparation to get a job and even my German language lessons. And it's because of having the right information, being with the right network. And this is what we want to do to see that people, Africans or migrants here in Germany, are connected more and more with the people with the right mindset and the right information. As you're finishing your studies, where do you need to go to get all the necessary trainings you need to land your first job? Or you don't have the necessary qualification, how can you get this missing qualification completely free of charge? The first event we had in 2024, we brought people from different, different segments here in Germany. We brought entrepreneurs, company owners, and people from the Senate House that we talk about this topic. So the people from the Senate House, on one hand, were telling us about provisions from the government that exist to help migrants be fully engaged, be fully brought into the labor market, and how they can access this. Employers were telling us about opportunity, about the requirements that they expect from job seekers, and then we had the job seekers there too that were talking about their challenges. And this is really our main objective. So if you're listening to these or watching us from wherever, do get in touch. And now we are growing because we've extended also our collaboration now working with Afriment to see that this same concept here is practiced all around the world. But more importantly, through a structured platform like what Afrimet is offering, that people get to learn the necessary skills. Stephen, if you recall, we talked about, hey, it's one thing to see this opportunity, but it's another thing to be ready. Because what's going to happen when the opportunity comes and you're not ready, right? And this is where volunteerism comes in as well, that you get the necessary experience and you be ready to do the job. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Opportunity Plus is behind this podcast, and we come here once every 2 weeks. And as you can see, we're bringing more and more people into the space because we want to make sure that those of us who are living abroad, that we live the best life, that we get to our fullest potentials here. Yeah.
Mm, great. Awesome. Thanks so much, Mike, for that. I would consider it as a commercial for Opportunity Pulse.
All the gospel, what people need to know.
Yeah, thank you. Like you just briefly touched on very important points, especially looking at the diasporan space and so on. And I was just reflecting about my whole life, and I was like, how am I actually connected to this topic? And,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, looking way back almost now, It's crazy. I think about almost 22 years ago. I don't think I'm too old, yeah, but this is how long I've been engaged on this particular topic. It happens like around 2020, like 2004, 2005. I took the first opportunity to engage myself in a volunteership activity. So I went to France. Obviously, I didn't speak a single word of French, and it was a very challenging experience, as you can imagine. So I was working in a school of kids, like special needs kids, and I was supposed to be like an English teacher, and I was supposed to help in arranging activities and doing stuff like that. I was supposed to help in different day-to-day planning of their structure, the routine of the kids, and so on. There were kids between 7 to 24 years old, and there were so many challenges there. But that was my first experience with this topic of volunteership. And for me, there are so many things, even after like almost 20, 21 years past now, I think there is nothing that compares to that experience. Because one, I got to learn a French, another international language. Up to now, I speak French fluently, surprisingly, because of that. Again, adding to the point of volunteership is that breeding ground for skills. You can learn a skill and you will always have it on your CV forever. So when I go to Ivory Coast or to Congo, to Madagascar, wherever, I just switch to French. And just because of that 1 year of experience, I did a volunteership. But beyond that, I built relationships since then that I've kept up to now. And these relationships mean a lot in my own personal life, in my own career, in my own education background. People that have been there for me throughout. And I don't think I would ever meet those people without that experience. So this is very personal to me. And then Mike, we both have been talking so much about the lack of access, the invisibility to the opportunities because of the structure, which is sometimes too bureaucratic, which is very hard to break in.
Yeah.
So since 2020, 22 or 2021, I've been very active in the community space, as the chairperson, initially as the secretary of the Ugandan community in Berlin and Brandenburg, and then the chairperson of the community. But one thing I've learned through that experience is that you get to know the most important people in this space. You get to know so many other people in the diaspora space, but also you get to know the structure, how it works, like behind the scenes. And this is one thing I would like, if anyone listening out there forgets it, there is one thing that you learn through volunteership is that it takes away the pressure because there is low expectation because you're not being paid most of the time. So you have a chance to practice things without so much pressure, as opposed to when you're in a full-time job where there is performance expectation, where there are performance preview. So here you have a chance to experience it. Mike, I was looking at the statistics, particularly for Germany, and I was seeing that 28% of the migrants or people with foreign or with migration background that are engaged in volunteership, or that we call Ehrenamtliche, as opposed to over 40% of Germans who are engaged into this. And I was wondering, what's the gap? Why is there such a gap between the two? Yet we need to understand the structure. We need to speak the language. We need to know the people. But why are we less engaged? And I was yet to find out the answers. But I think most of the times is we expect to jump steps sometimes, or most of the time to jump steps into the career, into the promotions, while forgetting that as we are looking for the chance to be more contributing, to be more vocal, to be more recognized, there's certain basics that we cannot jump. We need to understand the basics, and those basics, you can learn them through those kind of roles as a volunteer. Whether you are supplying, whether you're giving or going to the church service and give soup to the homeless people, whether you're teaching language or teaching math or chemistry to kids in your neighborhood, whether you are supplying leaflets or whether you're giving your skills, let's say you're an English teacher, whatever you can do, we don't have to complicate it. We just have to look into our skill set and say, who needs this kind of skills in my community? If there is no organization that is giving me that chance, can I just open up something and I provide those kind of skills? And then through the time, people will start to recognize you. And that's how you get recognized. And that's how you break into, that's how you become intentional in making a career or even providing a service later on. Yeah, so I wanted to bring out that just to make it clear that volunteership does not necessarily mean you have to get a job with the Red Cross, with the World Food Organization, with the UN, or with Afriment. It can also be that you just have to create something out of the blue because of the skills that you have. And based on that, that's how you begin to make yourself available and put yourself on the line. Without saying much, I think we are getting close to the end of this session, Mike. I would like to go briefly to our panelists, Ini or Joseph, and just want to get back to the African culture understanding of volunteerism. I think, Joseph, you are not here yet, but looking at the African culture setup, looking at your culture in Nigeria, that collective responsibility, how can we reinforce this role of volunteerism using the cultural community good context to actually encourage more young people, especially those who are unemployed, they can't find the jobs? How can we actively, and where should they find opportunities if they are looking for opportunities to volunteer?
Oh, okay, thank you, Mike. Speaking about opportunities and in relation to our African cultures, I think for the African culture, volunteerism most times work majorly on culture, in the sense that volunteerism is not only focused to being. I think we shouldn't shift the mindset that for you to be a good specialist at what you do, you're not only volunteering to be good at your work. I think volunteerism also makes you a better human. Even as a kids, our parents have been teaching us how to volunteer. That's why even at old age, no one needs to tell you to get water for them or check up on families once in a while. These are impacts that has been taught over time. So looking at the African culture, home-wise, while growing up, they would say your parents are not your sole parents. Other elders are part of you. So then growing up, when they see a kid doing something wrong, you tell them that no, 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 kid, don't do this. You do it this way. You do it this way. And over time, it makes you better as an individual. So relating it to work, I think the religious organizations are doing a good work. Take, for instance, me. I literally learned public speaking and communication. Also, my little bit of Microsoft, as I narrated while I was a kid. I think churches are doing a good effort in these ones where you see some church they put a space where you can volunteer to be in the media or be in the design thing or be in the whatever organizations, but I think church is doing a good work with that. But where we can shift the mindset to is some public organizations. I know it's going to be hard, but if some organizations can bring a space or put a space for where individuals can apply and say, no, I don't want to get paid. I want to volunteer for at least minimum 1 to 3 months. So I learned this skill. If we can put word out there for some organizations to buy into this idea, it's going to be a great opportunity. Also, I don't know, but I think I have to bring Daniel into this because that's what they're trying to do.
Oh boy, it seems your network again is disrupted, Joseph, but it's good that you mentioned about Daniel. And I'm going to come to you, Daniel, on that same point. But this time around, I would like to say, to ask a question about the strategic intent behind volunteerism. But I will start with Ini. Ini, you're part of the volunteer team that is helping us with Opportunity Paths. And you're doing a lot of things, among others, you're doing social media and so on. Is there a strategy behind this, or is it just a random thing that you're doing out of passion?
Okay, for me, I'll say that for one to volunteer, you have to be passionate because when you are not passionate, you lose interest. You will not be committed. You will not find time to 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 carry out those duties that you are being given to where you are volunteering. So um, the strategy for me is one have to be interested and passionate about what you are doing. If you are volunteering for maybe a data to be a data analyst, must be something that you are interested in. So that interest is is what I find as a strategy. So if you are interested in something, whether you are being paid, whether you are not being paid, you just find a way to play one or two duties because of course volunteering help you to sharpen your skills. It helps you to sharpen your skills. So then if you know that this platform being given to you is going to sharpen your skill, of course you are going to put in all your best. So I would say that the strategy is for one to be passionate and find interest in what on the role that you are applying for to volunteer for.
Right. Thank you so much. So, key important aspect you're mentioning is there must be passion, even though there is a strategy, there must be passion and a drive. But for the strategy is to align what you're doing with your intention. Let's say you want to make a career as a data analyst, then look for opportunities that align with that goal, to build your skills, to build relationship in that industry, and so on. And coming back to you, Daniel, the people that come to you or to Afriment, is there a strategy behind their intention? Let's say coming to Afriment, are they looking for some career roles, and that's why they're coming to you purposefully to build that experience towards that?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. The reason why many people are coming to Afrimet is because many people are done with trainings. In short, Afrimet is like the funnel. You know, a funnel now. The funnel has a very big head, but there's no matter how plenty it is, if you pour water or anything there, it will still pass through that funnel, that long, short one, or bridge. No matter if you guys can be 2 million cars, you will still pass through that narrow bridge to get what you are looking for. So majorly, the motive behind people joining, I would say, is the drive to get experience, to get an experience, because many of them is their first time and they are scared of the fear of not being good enough, this fear of they are lost, feeling lost. This platform that train them, they will just train them and that's all. So that the fear of, okay, how will it look like if I get a job? The fear of there's a lot of people, how can I get an opportunity at least to do something, to have an experience of how this is what it looks like, to see the expectations that companies will be having, to say, okay, this is a remote world. Oh, these are things that I've learned. Does this thing really work? Is this thing really okay? So that's the reason why many people come to Affirmate, to get that hands-on experience aside the training. Because no matter how much they teach you the theory, you still need some practical. Not just for practical alone, they would have probably choose to build a portfolio themselves. But there's this thing that comes with working in a team. When you start working with someone, the method you are used to might be different from the method the person is used to. So if you go and work in a real company, they might give a different architecture, different way, and you'll be lost. So that's the advantage of working, in a team, and that's why many people are joining Affiliate, because of that effect. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daniel. As we're coming to the end of this, Mike, what are the practical advice you have for Africans or diasporan who would want to use volunteerism as a strategy, one, to get into better career roles, or maybe even to have a sense of contribution, just for their own well-being? Maybe they're happy within their jobs, but they just want to have a good feeling they are contributing to society. What advice would you give, and where can they find such opportunities?
Yeah, the first place is obviously right here, Opportunity Pulse, as the name goes. Um, but the key thing here is to go out, make good use of your time. If you're not happy where you are, there are options out there, and it always begins with a chat, conversation. And I'm someone who genuinely believes that the best things in life will always remain for free. Free not because it's not of value, but free because you couldn't actually pay the price. I mean, if we would pay for the oxygen that we breathe, I wonder how many people can afford it. But that's something that everybody needs. And so that's also why I believe that the best things in life and the things that are truly ours would always come to us for free. Um, and what that simply means is whatever you're looking for is out there. You just have to be in the right network, connect with the right people. I already mentioned how you can go to lots of events which are happening. The question always is, what are you looking for exactly? Is it you want to get a new job? You want to network with other entrepreneurs? Where are you in your career? For most of the cases, people are looking for a job. And we typically have people who just finished their studies here in Germany, and now how did they get into the job market? Best thing is you're not waiting until your studies is over before you start doing this. That you already start while you're studying, and then towards the end of your studies, you already start attending these network events, job fairs. Go there with your CV, be prepared, be ready for the job, and definitely apply to companies. By default, you should apply like a normal application. But if you have a chance for the conversations, also let them know, hey, I'm also willing to volunteer. One thing I've noticed also is in most professional setup, most like within the industry, you don't get a lot of volunteerism like that. I guess it comes with unpaid internship, which is also indirectly volunteering, right? So that can also be a channel for you as well. But overall, my point really is rather than just sitting and complaining, go out and do something. And if you're watching or listening to this right now, it's the first step. Get in touch, right? It won't cost you anything. And then if what we shared here does not really apply to you directly, then we know more about you and can also give you a tailored solution. Yeah.
Go out and do something. That's what I take from that. Thank you so much, Mike. And Ini, what's your last parting shot for this discussion? Your final remarks, Ini, to this topic.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So my final remark is that volunteering is not a waste of time. Yes, it's not a waste of time. Rather than sitting at home doing nothing, I understand that most volunteering roles do not pay immediately, but we should the advice my final parting way is that the volunteering when volunteering you should look at the end, like what you gain at the end. As Mike has very said, the experience you will gain, the growth, the connection that will eventually give you that job that you're actually craving for. So just take out that mindset that volunteer is a waste of time. It actually pays to volunteer.
Can,
Great. Thank you so much, Ini, for those final remarks. And Joseph, what are your final thoughts on this topic for anyone who is trying to think the whole topic through?
Okay, so my final remark would be volunteerism, when done intentionally, is not about giving your time. It's about building value. It allows you to develop real skill, gain visibility, and position yourself in rooms where opportunities are not just created, not where opportunities are just advertised, but it builds you and gives you confidence and make you the best man for any job you step your feet into.
Powerful word. Thank you so much, Joseph. And Daniel, on your behalf and on behalf of Afriment, what will be your parting shots to this topic?
Well, my parting shots for this topic will be volunteering is good. Before, it's more or less like, let me take it to the Christian side. It's more or less like you are planting a seed to your career by you volunteering. You might not, when you have a mango now, once you plant it, some people are not patient enough to allow it to. But if you sacrifice that one mango and plant it, at the end of 1 year, when the mango tree is up, you can reap 1,000 mango fruit. So what I would say is volunteering is good. People should try and change their mindset from seeing it as somebody is using them. They should even be happy that they see an opportunity to volunteer, because it means somebody is giving you an open arm to actually come and display what you can do as a person. So yeah, that's just it. Thank you.
Absolutely. You probably summed up what I wanted to say. And for me, the thing when I think about volunteerism, I'm thinking about in most of the societies where we're coming from. Think about any of the greatest names and think about their motivation. Mostly it was about contribution to society, to community, to well-being of the society.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, these are the people that we remember most, right? So, and behind that, there is a spirit of volunteerism. So for me, volunteerism is about the community good. It's not about titles. It's not about the recognition. All that will come, but initially there must be that drive to give back to the community. And looking at the community here in the diaspora in Germany, we'll think about the people that are trying to be considered, trying to be recognized in the community. I think before we seek all that, let us engage, and let us seek how to contribute before we actually get to be recognized. So for me, that's the most important. Mike, what will be your parting shots to this topic as you close this?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Steven, my co-host every time. And thanks to Joseph, Ini, and Daniel also for joining us today. It's been a really wonderful session. We stretched more than usual. We always keep this between 30 minutes, 45. But today was a very valuable topic that we had to go deep into it. Obviously, we couldn't exhaust everything that there needs to be said about this. But the key thing here is volunteerism is how you gain visibility. That's how you build your social capital. And as the say goes, your net worth or your network is relatively, at the same as your network. No, net worth equals to your network. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So, and where do you build this network from? It's not by sitting at home, it's by going out there. So, whatever you have to do to open the doors, start doing that. So thank you once more to everybody, to Team Afriment, Team Opportunity Pulse, Settling, and everyone out there. I wish you all a nice Labor Day. Good thing it's public holiday in most part of the world, and it's Labor Day, and we're talking also about volunteerism. I strongly align with Stephen in the point that you get more when you give, and I think for everyone who volunteers, you can testify to this. So I hope this would be like the mindset that we go out with, not just today, but as we contribute our careers in our respective destinations. So thank you, everybody. And that brings us to the end of this podcast for today. I wish you all a nice rest of your day. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.